first things first, let's talk about Russ cooking in
Right.
old Pittsburgh, baby. Oh, Russell Wilson is going to start cooking. The Steelers are instantly better. Now that we don't have to deal with baby hands Pickett, instantly better. And I'm excited. I'm excited about it. I know people are wanting to push back and people want to hate and people want to be upset, but the Steelers are better, man. They're just better with him.
Yeah. So when I first took a look at this, I didn't know what the Broncos were doing because I've always been a fan of Russ cooking, and I'm like, man, they kind of gave up on Russ. But then I looked. Okay, so let me talk about a couple things. And yes, the Steelers are better, but that's not saying much, at least at the QB position. You know, everybody Russ and below in QBR was shopping for a new QB as well. So he was kind of the breakover point. So I was surprised at that because I thought he just needed a chance, but he's 21st in QBR. Now, there's some other stats if you go by. He's 12th in completion percentage, but I don't know. How much does Russ have left in the tank? I do appreciate him sticking it to the Broncos by taking the league minimum. So from Pittsburgh, so Denver had to pick up the rest of that. I mean, nothing but a big FU on the way out the door, right? But I don't know. I don't know how much he's got left in the tank. I know he's now motivated with something to prove, but maybe his ridiculous requests for offices and stuff, maybe he'll come back down to earth.
Well, here's the thing about it. Russ didn't have a bad year last year. People have this misconception that he played horrible. That's not true at all. Not even remotely true. And I don't care if you're a Broncos fan or not. If you said he played horrible, you're lying to yourself because he didn't. Now, did it work? No, it didn't work. But think about these circumstances, Chris. If first of all, from day one, your head coach. So your immediate boss doesn't like you. He doesn't want you. He even made it public about how they were going to change things. He did not want Russ there. That's number one. Then number two, in the middle of the season, while you're playing okay, your owners come to you and say, you know what? We need you to restructure this contract that you just negotiated for yourself last year because in case you get hurt, we don't want to owe you any money. And if you don't do it, we're going to bench you. So just take that into perspective. When people start saying, oh, well, Russ is washed and he didn't do this, I'm like, hold on a second. Yeah. If your boss doesn't want you, your owners don't want you, how good are you actually going to be? And he still had a decent season.
And I get that. But I think some of the Russ is washed narrative comes from the fact that his former team, did a lot better with what I would consider a previously, revealed as a bum. And so it's like, man, was Russ holding him back? Is Geno this good? I think some of that came into the whole narrative around Russ. Is you figured when he left out of there that they were going to have a hard fall off because he was still glue holding them together, and that wasn't true. So I think that's where a little bit of that he's done narrative comes from.
I mean, I can understand that, but here's the thing about it is the season that he had the previous year, he was god awful. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about that. He was absolutely terrible the first year with the Broncos. You can't say that he wasn't. But the previous year in Seattle, he was good. The year before that in Seattle, he was phenomenal. And then last year, he was pretty good. And the thing about it is that the Steelers don't need him to be Patrick Mahomes. I mean, if he's on the Steelers this past season, they win 3 more football games. And then just period, point blank, they win 3 more football games. That's all they need him to be is just be what he was this year.
It's interesting you bring that up. And somebody needs to fact check me on this one, but I believe he was just behind Mahomes in touchdowns with half as many picks too last year.
Correct.
I know, no comparison. I understand no comparison, but we don't need him to be Mahomes. But hey, easy there. Regular season, Russ, there was some cooking. There was at least some smoke in the kitchen.
That's all I'm saying. Russ is going to cook, man. He's going to cook with the Steelers. We got something. Now, let's dive in a little bit to more of this free agency frenzy. We've talked about it before we came on air here. Running backs seem to be back in trend, CC. You're a former running back. I'm going to let you have this one, but it seems like the running backs are back.
Man, I think every position's got to take its turn to get that depreciated value. My son let me know it's the safeties now that are going through the same thing. But man, everybody knows that if the football's a two-dimensional offense. If you can't run the ball, you don't have that bell cow, you don't have that big play explosive guy, then it's not fair to the quarterback that you're trying to develop or that Super Bowl chance. So I think that everybody went and got that puzzle piece they needed. Everyone's a little leery of the old backs and how much legs they got on them because we all know the cliff is very sharp of the fall off. But with Derrick Henry moving, with Pollard getting picked, I think everybody's adding that last piece that they need to their offense. So I'm happy to see it back. I'm happy to see Henry get $9 million guaranteed first year, and I think it's a $70 million 2-year joint. And then Saquon got the money he wanted too. So I'm happy they're getting paid because those guys are explosive players, some of the best in the league. So I think we're turning the corner.
Well, what I think it was is that, you know how the league is that they did an absolute overcorrect, is that they saw teams being successful, but not having to pay running backs, $15-16 million like somebody gave Christian McCaffrey and Derrick Henry, and teams were being successful. So then all of a sudden owners and GMs start saying, oh, you know what? We don't have to pay running backs anything. And they went so far the other way. And then it turned out, oh, no, wait a second. We actually do need these running backs to be successful. You got to have a good running back. I don't care what your offense is. Again, look at Mahomes. Look at the 49ers, the two teams that were in the Super Bowl. I'm not saying Pacheco is a big money running back, but the guy's pretty good, and they ran the football successfly with him. So
he served as a bell cow. He served as a bell cow when they needed it.
Absolutely.
Remember, I had the surprise player in the Super Bowl as Clyde Edwards-Helaire, hoping he was coming out of off the bench, and he never touched the ball. So I was wrong on that one. But yeah, Josh Jacobs making moves. I mean, Tulsa native right there. I was excited, and they went early, and they fueled the excitement, got everybody's hopes up. So it's still the people's favorite position. They don't want to admit it, but it is.
Well, the thing about the running back position is it goes back to the test of time, and that's what people can't get over. They want to think all these analytical stuff and play analytical nerd football, and throwing is better than passing. But when it comes down to it, when you need to win, what do teams usually do? They run the football. Yeah. And again, running backs aren't getting more money than than previous running backs. Like, nobody got a $15 million deal. Nope. Nobody got $16 million. They just got deals. And that's the thing. They weren't getting them before.
They got some deals. They got some multi-year deals, and they got some guaranteed money, which at that position you need because, again, it's high impact, right? So, a little guaranteed money never hurt anybody.
Exactly. We got a little poll down here about will Russ cook. Looks like Russ is going to do a little cooking in Pittsburgh this year. Russ is going to cook a little bit, okay?
Folks, he took the fourth most sacks last year, and I don't know if that was the Denver offensive line.
It was.
Or Jared Jeudy not getting open. So if anybody wants to jump in that poll and come back with me, I've come off of Russ on the grill. I had Russ it was uncle on the grill at the fourth, and now I don't think Russ is cooking anymore. I'm sorry, folks.
Just stop. Let Russ cook, okay? He's going to be fine in Pittsburgh. Everything's going to be fine. Here's my thing. You know how upset I have been the last 2 years trying to deal with Baby Hands Pickett. You know how football Sundays have not been fun for me. I think they're going to be fun for me this year. Now, if Russ comes out there and lays an egg, then, that'll be something else. So we're going to burn Russ's kitchen to the ground.
Oh, yeah.
The bottom line is he's cooking. He's going to cook.
He's going to cook. He's going to take that 1 year minimum deal and get on out of here.
What other free agency stuff besides running backs, anything else that you see that's wild that's out there? The one that I can see real quick, Brian Burns got traded from Carolina to the Giants and then got $150 million for a guy that's only had one season over 10 sacks. They act like he's God's gift to the defensive end position. I'm like, I don't know, man. But it's the Giants, and we know the Giants, their organization is garbage.
Right. Well, I mean, let's count the ways and the way they've screwed up. But I don't get that, and I think that's the next position to see a little bit of a recession is the pass rusher, because I think that these really creative OCs are taking these guys out of the game, and then a lot of them have a whole bunch of quit in them, right? So you saw, I think Buffalo parted ways with Von Miller. I know he's not who he used to be, But I think that's they're going to look back, and that's going to be one of the most highly regretted moves of this year. So,
Yeah, yeah,
my opinion.
you're exactly right. It's craziness. It's
Oh,
craziness.
I'm sorry. Speaking of regrets, paying Baker Mayfield a dime is a regret, and I know he played well, but I mean,
No,
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. How many times can he do it to us? Baker Mayfield is a
it's a team
bum.
friendly deal though.
It,
We've talked about this a million times. Owners and GMs and teams paying these average to just above average quarterbacks all this crazy money, and lo and behold, they ends up biting them a year later, like the
yep.
Giants again with Daniel Jones. They
Yeah.
didn't do that. 2 years, 50 million guaranteed. It's a 3-year deal, but he gets 50 million in the first 2 years. That's a team-friendly deal that you can live with
I'm
Baker
sorry.
Mayfield. It's
$50
not
million
$80 million,
guaranteed.
guaranteed over the first 2 years. It's not that.
The only thing you can get, I don't know if you've ever seen the favorite pro team by state, right? And Oklahoma doesn't have a pro team. Their favorite pro team is wherever Baker went, right?
Right.
And so the only thing you get is a little bit of fan base from Oklahoma, guaranteed 2 or 3 bad throws a game, and a lot of blaming everybody else when it goes downhill. So I don't think I want to pay $50 million guaranteed when that's the only thing I get returned on my guarantee is that right there.
You want
Insane.
a division. Now, granted, it's a horrible division, but they won it. Then they went and won a playoff game. I mean, and were competitive in the second playoff game against the Lions. I mean, and he played well. That's the thing. It's not like Baker played bad. He didn't. He played well. You got to reward that, and you might have found something with Baker. And I think Tampa did. I think they did.
I have found a consistency of inconsistency, and I'm not going to reward that. He's got to do more for me. I'm sorry.
See, but that's just bitterness because of the Cleveland Browns saga. I mean, but
Well,
you're a
yeah,
Browns fan, and the problem
yep.
with being a Browns fan, literally, the problem with being a Browns fan is that you're a Browns fan. That's the first problem right there.
I got a friend that uses a slogan that always says, "We can smell our own." And I remember how excited Cleveland was and how many times that's happened to us with, Manziel and every time we get the first pick. And I just smell the same thing. And it's hope. And hope is the most dangerous 4-letter word, in the English language. And I see it. And Tampa, I'm sorry.
I got you. I understand. We got some people in the chat asking about Josh Jacobs. I don't know. I mean, I like the move with Josh Jacobs. I mean, he's going to Green Bay, and they got rid of Aaron Jones. Do you like Josh Jacobs more than Aaron Jones? The reason that I do is because he's more healthy. Is that
Yes.
Aaron Jones, every time you look up, the guy's hurt.
Yes.
So, yeah, I like him better. I think it was a good move by Green Bay.
I don't know if Jacobs is the best, pass catcher out of the backfield.
That's another issue. He's not. He's not as good as Jones.
Let's be honest. If there was anybody cooking last year, it's Jordan Love. So yeah. I want to carry all that momentum, and I don't want to go back to a stagnant, run on first down, offense. And so I wonder if that Jacobs move is going to prove to be a little bit more predictable of their offense than, because right. You remember they bombed Dallas out of that game, and I don't think anybody saw it coming.
No.
And I think it was because you didn't know what they were calling next, and that's a huge advantage. And I think you paid Jacobs. He's in the game. He is a great pass blocker. He'll pick up the blitz, but he ain't gonna get you some check down catches. He's got stone hands.
No,
so,
you're right. You're right.
Yeah.
Here's a good one from our friend Rebecca Elledge talking about DeAndre Swift. Here's the thing. I have no idea what the hell the Bears are doing. Why on earth would you pay DeAndre Swift all that money when literally they could have waited an hour and a half and signed Aaron Jones, who's better than him, for less money? Why in the world? That's why Chicago is Chicago, Chris. They just can't get out of their own way. Terrible.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. They say never argue with fools. Trying to figure out what Chicago's doing is a huge waste of your time. So I saw that. You explained it to me, and I said, is that just them being who they are, right?
Yes.
If it was any other team, we'd say they must know something we don't know. Swift is the healthier one coming out, or
No
he's
way.
he's I know that he's made some commitment to return to being super explosive, whatever. It's going to be a team friendly deal. I don't know, but it's the Bears being the Bears. It is what it is. It's why they will be, if they could relegate teams in the NFL, they would. So
Swift, Buddy Claiborne says DeAndre Swift is hot garbage. I don't know if
hot
he's hot
garbage is a hot
garbage.
take.
That's a little strong. That's aggressive.
Yeah.
I mean, my goodness, he's not hot garbage, but I get it. If you're a Brown or a Lions fan and he was always hurt with the Lions, then all of a sudden he goes to Philly and wrecks shop. I get it.
Yeah.
I understand.
Yeah, that's an interesting poll right there. Who landed in the best spot, Henry, Jacobs, or Barkley? And nobody picked Barkley?
Yeah, the people aren't paying attention. Come on now. I mean, they got they still have one of the best lines in football, and somehow Barkley is not in the best position? What are we doing here?
I don't. You never want to criticize your audience, but the 5 people who voted on that may not be the 5 smartest people watching this show.
I do think Henry going to Baltimore is big. It is absolutely big.
Here's what I don't understand. I mean, yes, there's going to be a huge focus on the fundamentals if you play Baltimore of can you fill gaps and tackle. But I don't know if the wing T coming back to the NFL is going to be as deadly as everybody thinks it is. I mean,
So no faith in Lamar throwing the football. You're one of those.
I don't have any faith in Lamar throwing the football, and it's not Lamar's fault. I told you, other than the driving downpour that they didn't do a good job of showing last year in the playoffs, the play calling was absolutely terrible. It was not in Lamar's favor. Now they got Derrick Henry lining up at 9 yards off the line of scrimmage coming downhill. That gets addictive to hand it to him when you don't know what to do because it makes you look like a genius when he busts one. Pause. But I don't know. I don't see that offense being as dynamic as everybody hopes so.
I think it will be. I think it's going to be okay. I mean, I know a lot of people keep saying that Derrick Henry's not good, and if you run the read option because he's got to be going downhill. And my counter to that is, why don't you just run the pistol, or use the pistol and run the read option out of that? You can absolutely do that and play action. Guys are going to be running wide open. Yeah. I mean, if they can run the football, like they're going to be able to run the football. Whether you think that Lamar Jackson can throw the ball or not, he can throw to wide open guys, and guys are going to be running free.
He can, but man, the read option. Let's assume that everybody made it to the NFL not because they're just big, strong, and fast, but because they can be assignment sound. And then you got an old running back, which I got faith in. Let me state that. And Lamar. I mean, you're gonna pick between the two of them for 30 hits a game, 15 apiece. I don't know if that's the way I want to go try to win my Super Bowl. Maybe they should have made some upgrades on defense because I felt like I know it's terrible to say that about the Ravens. I didn't think they played great D in the playoffs. I know everybody's gonna make their joke there, but that's what cost them. So I do like Henry landing there. Saquon got the better landing spot in my vote.
I mean, we're gonna move on, but I'm gonna remind you in the AFC Championship game, they didn't give up a point in the second half. They only gave up 30, or I think it was 60 total yards in the second half, and 32 of them came on the last pass play of the game. So the defense was fine. It was Lamar and his passing and the play calling that cost him in the playoffs.
Agreed. I do have to address Curtis Johnson asking what's up with the sunglasses.
Yeah.
Curtis, I don't have all my screens here, so I don't want you seeing me looking at the comments. So my eyes are all over the place. And before you think I'm going Stevie Wonder on you or having a seizure, I'm going to put some glasses on. This is for the people, to protect you.
Hey, there you go. Ooh, look at this from our old man, Ryan Fike. Sunglasses help with the glare off that receding hairline. Brutal.
Yeah, I've known Fike for, I guess 30 years now, almost, 25 years. And he knows the hairline hasn't gone back. It never was very far forward. So it's actually a stagnant. It's a stalemate. It's like a World War II trench warfare up there. World War I trench warfare. It isn't going back, Fike. It's holding steady. But I appreciate that.
But keep coming with the comments, Fike. I don't think I know you. I appreciate that more than you know.